What up, YouTube? Your boy, Faded Gains, aka the Faded Barber, aka Richie Barber, coming back at you with another video. Yo, this video is gonna be quick. Somewhat, for the most part, it's gonna be quick. This video we're gonna talk about barber school or apprenticeship. Me, I did both. Um, Fortunate when I first decided to become a barber, I was living in a state where I could do apprenticeship. That's New York State. From my understanding, you could still do apprenticeships out there. Wasn't until I moved out of New York and I went elsewhere to where I had no choice to go to school for me to get my barber license, because in the states I was in didn't do apprenticeships. Now the difference between apprenticeships and school is obvious. You go to school to get your education. Apprenticeships, you work in a barber shop under a master barber and you cut hair. You get your education. From my personal experience, the apprenticeships, you learn a lot. I'm grateful for my apprenticeships, my apprenticeship. Shout out Righteous Barbershop. Taught me a lot. Taught me barbershop etiquette. In school they don't teach you none of that. In the way some schools do. Let me not say all schools. Some schools do, some schools don't. I personally like apprenticeships a whole lot better, because it gives you that barbershop etiquette. Gives you a sense of belong. You know, um, the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? It gives you that barbershop experience that you need for when you get out of school, if you are in school. Now, the cool thing with apprenticeships, depending on the barber, a lot of barbers do 60-40, a lot of barbers do 50-50. It all depends. A lot of people just say, yo, get your money up, pay $75 a week in booth rent, whatever the case may be, because some states you can still cut as an apprentice. Like I said, when I was in apprenticeship, I learned barbershop etiquette, and that's what a lot of barber schools that I went to, prospective barber schools that I went into, for me to see if I wanted to go there, acknowledged about me, is the fact that I would have barbershop experience. Um, Schooling. Now, school, on the other hand, it teaches you in a whole nother dynamic of cutting hair. It teaches you the basics, the necessities for you. It's basically the foundation of your barbering, or your hairstylist, or whatever you want to call it. Me, myself, I consider myself a barber stylist, simply because I know how to do women's hair as well. I know how to do colors. I know how to do perms. I know how to do relaxes. I know how to do a lot of things that most barbers don't know how to do. And that's going to come up in another video. We're going to talk about all that in another video. I suggest, long story short, I suggest that outweigh your options. Make a list of pros and cons of whether you want to go to school and pay back a bunch of load of money, or maybe voc rehab, or vested, or whatever it's called in your state, could help you get your education. I was fortunate to where I was able to get help through, government agencies and stuff like that. If you qualify, you're able to get it. If you're a veteran, obviously you get the GI Bill and all that. But from my understanding, don't quote me on that. I'm saying a lot of ums, man, because this is all coming off the top of the head, man. This is nothing scripted, nothing like that. School, man, they teaches you your sanitation rights, your sanitation laws, your barbershop laws. They teach you the laws of it, but they don't really teach you the etiquette unless the barber school is set up like a barber shop. Because I know a lot of schools, there's one school in particular in PA, I think it is, that's operated as a barber shop, but it's an actual school. So fortunate for that school and those students, they're able to get that barbershop etiquette and that barbershop feel long before they graduate. The perks of going to school, it teaches you a whole nother dynamic of stuff. It gives you, especially if they have multiple teachers, each teacher teaches a different way. Each teacher cuts a different way. And it gives you the opportunity for you to take everything that each teacher is teaching you and make it your own. You know what I'm saying? My teachers, they liked me, but they didn't like me, because I was so used to cutting a particular way. I've been cutting hair for 10 years. I'm only a barber, quote unquote, for 3 years. Because a lot of barbers on YouTube, on Instagram, and all of that, you're not a barber unless you get your license in it. Yes or no? I agree with it to an extent. If I'm providing the same work as a licensed barber, the only difference is that I'm not licensed and you are. No, I'm licensed now. I can show you my license and all that one day. However, I also understand it goes hand in hand with a doctor. You're going to let a doctor touch you or operate on you if he's not certified? Not likely, you know. But each to each its own, you know what I mean? Another cool thing about being in school is the other students, man. The dynamics of how they cut, you get to learn different aspects of barbering from school. I personally prefer apprenticeships, period. You don't got to pay back a buttload of money. Um, but school, I personally like the apprenticeship, but school is definitely a positive. I'm not gonna say it's a negative. I will say it is a positive. Uh, I'm in my car right now. I'm about to go pick up somebody and then go to the shop. But where was I going with that? Sidetracked it. School. If you got the money to go to school, go to school. And what I suggest, if you're in school, when you're not in school, go hang out in barbershops. Go look at barbershops that you would want to work in when you get out of school. It's called the prospective barbershop. That's what I call it. Um, find out which barbershop is good for you. If you just looking for apprenticeships, contact your state board. Tell them that you want an apprentice. You want to be an apprentice. You need your You need your barber apprentice application. Unless you're in a state where you don't need that, you can just walk up in the shop and do as you please, so to say. In New York, I believe you need apprenticeship application. You know, and real quick on the school note, man, do your research on the school that you want to go to if you want to go to school. It's the same thing as finding a shop. Don't get me wrong, the schools I went to, shout out ABI, shout out, OTC, shout out CHD, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. I went to dope schools, and the reason why I went to so many is simply because of moving out of state, so to say. You know, look at the loans, see how much you're going to have to pay back when you're done graduating, because after you're done graduating from barber school or whatever school you decide to go to, cosmetologist, esthetician, not anything like that, you got 6 months free where you don't got to pay nothing back, and after 6 months you got to pay all your loans back. Sometimes they set you up with a payment amount, but then you could, talk to them and get it knocked down to X amount or whatever the case may be. The cool thing with school too is you get the books, you get tools. Yes, you're paying for them, but sometimes you get some dope tools, some top of the line tools. And if you don't have money for you to go buy your own clippers at that moment, for you to go do an apprenticeship, the school will provide you with it. I was fortunate to where they didn't have to provide me with a lot of stuff because, like I said, I've been cutting hair for 10 years now, almost 11. And I didn't have to pay back as much because I had some tools already. Um, school teaches you a lot more than what a barbershop can teach you. Unless you're doing an apprenticeship with a dope master barber that's willing to teach you anything and everything. You know what I'm saying? I had my master barber. Shout out Perk. He taught me a lot, and I was only there for a couple months. If that. You know what I'm saying? And I moved out of state. You know, and I learned a lot while I was there. I did a little apprenticeship in another state. It was cool. I didn't work out there because people were stealing my stuff, and I'm not okay with that. If it ain't on your station, don't touch it. Period. That's another thing that goes on in apprenticeships, in barbershops, and in school. Cats steal stuff, man. So I suggest you keep your stuff locked up. I'm getting off topic right now, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is much input that I'm gonna put on it right now. Apprenticeships. It all depends on where your funds are, how good you are in the craft, how good you think you are, and what you want to do with your life. How far do you want to go within this career? If you want to go real far, I suggest you go to school. Not saying that people that did apprenticeships did not go far at all, because I know a lot of people that did apprenticeships that went dumb far. But if you want to, sorry, I had a text message. If you want to learn everything and anything, try to do both, if you can. You know what I mean? Because there are some states where you can go to school and on the weekends work in a shop. I don't know what the rules and regulations of that, so make sure you do your research. Key to this story, key to this message in this video is research, research, research. Find out the dope school. Find out the dopest school in your town or in your state. Even if it means driving out of the way to go to it, do it. Learn all you can, whether it be apprenticeship or school. You know, where was I going with that? Learn all you can. This is, this is how I look at it. Prime example. We're in a craft. We're in an industry. We're in a career where no matter, this is my personal opinion. So nobody get mad, butthurt, anything like that. Comment some hate ass comments on there, in my comment section. No matter how long you've been in the industry, no matter how many years you got down, no matter how many years you've been licensed, no matter how many years you're considered a master barber, in my eyes, a barber, a stylist is always a student. It's always a student. Each one teach one. We're always teaching each other new things to do to better our fades, to better our cuts, to better our shades, to better our craft. Each one teach one. I don't care how long you got in the game. If you got one day and your fade could be cleaner than me, I'm going to go to you and ask you, yo, what you do to get your fade so clean? If you got 20 years in the game and I got 10, I'm going to come to you because you got knowledge. You got experience. You got wisdom. For new upcoming barbers, don't be afraid to ask questions. If a barber or stylist turns you away, that's because they're not humble. That's another thing I'm going to give y'all. When y'all looking for a shop, and y'all in school, prospective schools, prospective shops, look for humility. If you don't know what humility means, look it up. And hopefully y'all know what it means. You look for humility with these people. If they don't have no humility, it's probably not going to work out for you. Because people are going to probably steal your stuff. People are going to try to take your clients. Whatever it may be. And if you're going to, that's not cool. So make sure you look for humility, respect, honesty, all that good stuff that you would want in a friend, in anything, in whatever the case may be. Make sure they're humble. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. Let them be humble. And don't be afraid. Period. Sit down, make pros and cons, whether you want to be in the shop or be in school. Make a list of both. And whatever outweighs it goes. I'm in a state where it requires, I'm in one of 2 states that require the most education, hours-wise, for barbering. I know a lot of states have a lot of hours for Kazi. I'm talking about strictly barbering right now. I had to do 2,100 hours of education for me to get my license. 2,100 hours. Not only that, I did go back for partial of a Kazi program, which put another 600 to 700 hours under my education. I'm glad I went to school, and I'm also glad that I did apprenticeships because it gave me a whole new outlook on the barber industry. Anyway, it's my time to go. I only want to make this under 15 minutes, so rate, comment, subscribe, hit up the Instagram, FadeABarber402. Holla at your boy.